here on a Friday afternoon at gopowercat.com. I'm Ryan Wallace. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks to Briley Moore for joining us here on the website, the newest addition to the Kansas State Wildcat football program. Briley, how does that sound now that this is all finished?
That sounds great. It sounds perfect. Sounds like that's what was meant to be. I appreciate you spending time and having this little interview with me through Zoom.
Well, yeah, obviously you mentioned that this is through Zoom. This is not, the normal way,
Right.
excuse me, to conduct these interviews. But how are you holding up through all of this? And I guess how different was this recruiting process compared to maybe what you would have thought a normal transfer process might have been like?
Yeah, things are going good. We're just trying to stay safe and do our part through all of this. Definitely interesting doing this through this time with the corona and not having visits. So that kind of made the process a little bit different than what it would normally be or what you would expect. But I think it still went good, and I still was able to see all the options out there and digest all the information. And I don't think it really played an effect on me landing at K-State because there's a comfort level with my decision that I don't regret, and I don't think I will ever regret this decision at all.
Well, let's go back real quick just for fans that maybe aren't aware of where you're from and how you got to UNI and now K-State.
Yep.
Coming out of Blue Springs South High School, state champion.
Yep.
You guys were, one of the best in the state for your career, the time that you were there with Coach Oder.
Sure.
But yet at the same time, didn't get maybe the recruitment that you did now as a transfer.
Definitely.
Kind of walk us back through that time period of you coming out of high school and your first time period as a recruit.
Yeah. So obviously very different situations with, the schools I've been able to be in contact with now as a grad transfer versus coming out of high school. I had a great time playing for Blue Springs South, like you said or mentioned. I was able to get a state championship, which was awesome. I had knee surgery, so I missed like most of my junior year in high school. And so that kind of recruiting kind of went to a halt after that and kind of stopped hearing from a few schools. And yeah, so I ended up, having my options through FCS, mainly the Missouri Valley, and as this amazing opportunity I have here, but I wouldn't change it for anything. The course that I went, going to UNI was absolutely amazing for me. I met my fiance, had my first son, and now I'm having the opportunity to live out those dreams of playing at the FBS level and playing for a school that's less than 2 hours away from home. So it's crazy how it all played out, and it just seems like this is the way it was supposed to be written.
You were a wide receiver back then, and then you get to UNI and kind of become the tight end that you are today.
Yep.
Versatile, likes to block as much as you like to be a receiver.
Yep.
But I read some articles, that the weight room really transformed you that freshman year. Were you always a weight room guy? Like, was this always just kind of waiting to come out, or did UNI kind of bring that out of you?
I would say I was always a weight room guy for the knowledge I kind of had at the time, I guess you could say. Loved being in the weight room, loved being a hard worker, but I think in high school it wasn't necessarily something that I knew the significance of getting in the weight room and the nutrition that goes with it all. So once I did get to UNI and, I was able to gain some knowledge and, really learn exactly how to lift and what things to do and what to put in your body. I think it was just, it was there. I just hadn't developed really yet in high school.
And a lot of your UNI coaches talked about the fact that you were always a tight end kind of stuck in a wide receiver's body.
Yeah.
So that goes to maybe your mentality a little bit. Do you feel like you've always been more of a physical brand of offensive playmaker?
Yeah, I think I've always played with a chip on my shoulder and just an aggressive mentality whenever I step onto the field. And back then, even as a wide receiver, I loved contact. I loved blocking just as much as I loved getting the ball. It was obviously on the perimeter then, and so once I kind of came into my body through the weight room and stuff, it kind of just, started to grow on top of that. And I'm like, okay, I was 210 pounds, 205 pounds really when I played my senior year in high school. And now all of a sudden I'm 250 pounds and I have the strength to move these guys in front of me. So then it just kind of, opened a complete new door into what I was able to do through football. So I really, really enjoyed that.
And you like contact so much. Something else that I read about you at UNI, you actually had short-term paralysis based off a contact hit at some point in your career. Tell us about that.
Crazy situation. Like it wasn't even that high of an impact hit. It actually just, I guess it was the exact angle and the exact force needed. It was on kickoff return. I actually whiffed on my block, which is what led this to happen. I whiffed and kind of got off balance, and my head went straight down, and I hit the back of one of my teammates, and just lights out. Was there on the ground for about a minute and a half. I guess I had short-term paralysis, which is insane. But once I kind of like came back to it, I was fine. It was a really weird situation. They diagnosed me with a mild concussion, so that really wasn't even that severe. So it was just a freak incident that I ended up staying in the hospital overnight. It was in Ohio, so I didn't get to get on the plane with the team after it, but didn't have my phone either. They was on the plane with my team. So whenever I was there and I was okay and I couldn't text my mom or text my now fiance girlfriend at the time or anything, like, hey, I'm okay. So there was also, I think other people were a little more concerned than I was.
Wow. Uh, and unfortunately, injuries may kind of bring you to the position that you're at right now
Yeah,
because
without a doubt.
yeah, I was going to say, well, I mean, it's not even a question. If the injury against Iowa State in the season opener last year hadn't happened, we wouldn't be talking, right?
Nope. I would be hopefully training to see if I am capable of play at the NFL level. So it's just insane how I it's nothing else other than God has a plan for everything, and He's going to put me in a situation that I'm supposed to be in because a year from now I was going into my senior year, and so just I have this extra opportunity because of an injury to be able to pursue these dreams and eventually once this all blows over, step onto the K-State campus, and it's just crazy how things work out.
Now, you didn't announce that you were going to enter the transfer portal until April 1st.
Yep.
But did you know, like, did you have any feelings? Maybe it was in November, maybe it was in February. When did you kind of know, maybe I want to just see where else I can
Yeah.
finish my career?
Yeah. It was really a couple weeks prior to whenever that actually happened on April 1st. Just kind of the thought of, okay, I had this injury that really opened my eyes to, football can be taken at any time, any snap. It was just a random play. I caught a screen and two guys ahead of me, and I did what I like to do, and I tried to lower my shoulder and run through both of them. It didn't work too well for me, but just a random play. I never would have thought, and it just kind of showed me that don't take these things for granted, because at any time I could go back out. I mean, knock on wood, next fall and blow my shoulder again, and they won't release me to come back to football. And then that on top of everything with the coronavirus and things getting shut down and pro days not happening, people's seasons getting ended, and I mean, quite frankly, careers getting ended from collegiate athletes, it kind of just was a snowball effect. It was on my heart, and then began to get more and more serious to just, for me to just, chase my dreams, because at the end of the day, you never know what's going to happen. My ultimate dream with football is to play at the NFL level and have an impact on lives through that platform. But I realize you don't know if that's going to happen for sure. And obviously I'm going to do everything I can to get to that level. But at the same time, I want to chase this dream of playing football at the FBS level. And just so happened that K-State was the perfect place for me. So K-State's really allowed me the opportunity to continue to live out my dreams.
And you and I have spoken a couple different times throughout the last 17 days, and
Yep.
we know Kansas State was one of the first schools that did reach out and talk
Yep.
to you about a transfer, but there were a whole host of other schools. Would you mind sharing some of the initial wave of
Yeah.
schools, and then I know you kind of narrowed it down to Baylor, Missouri, and Kansas State, but there were a
Yep.
lot more than just those three, right?
Yeah, it was insane. The first like 2 or 3 days, I don't think I ever put my phone down. It was just constantly going off and getting phone calls and DMs and text messages. It was insane. It was more than I could have ever really expected. Um, I talked to obviously those three schools. Talked to Purdue. Ball State was one of my first offers. South Florida. Talked to Michigan on the phone twice. Um, Virginia. I mean, it just the list goes on. It's all these big FBS schools, these Power Fives, and so it really, it opened my eyes to the difference of coming out of high school compared to what the situation I'm in now. So it was kind of cool. It was a little overwhelming, but it was just cool to see the difference in the transition over, what obviously not by myself, but through my coaching staff and the people around me I've built over the past 4 years, to be in just a completely different situation than I was 4 years ago.
Now, I know you mentioned that you really admired Coach Fedora at Baylor, and obviously, the program that they've built down there.
Yeah.
Even with Matt Rule no longer there, obviously, still
Right.
high hopes in Waco.
Yep.
Missouri is kind of like the hometown school for you, if you will.
Right.
But I mean, be honest, shoot us straight here. Was K-State always kind of the favorite going in, not just because of the past relationship that you've kind of had through the FCS with Coach Kleiman, but also obviously Skylar Thompson?
Yep. Yep. Although Missouri is, the home state, K-State was always in my head coming home and being the home, just because of the relationships that I have. And quite frankly, there's a lot of people in my family that are K-State fans. So whenever this all happened, my uncle is one of the closest people that I have in my life. Called him probably about a week into the whole situation, and he knew K-State was really on my heart, as well as Baylor. And I called him. He answered and hung up right away, so I didn't see anything. I'm like, okay, this is weird. He called back maybe 2 minutes later, and it was his whole family all wearing their K-State gear. So obviously, this decision isn't made off of who my family likes, but there's a home feeling in K-State, although it's technically the state over of Blue Springs. But so that was always in my heart through the whole process, and really, it was Baylor and K-State, balancing the two and two different offenses. And then Missouri came along a little bit later, about like a week or so in. But the whole time there's just a feeling of this is home and this is the right place for me, through those relationships that I have and seeing what the offense has done in the past. And quite frankly, there's a great tight end room at K-State currently. So just being able to get into that room and compete with guys that have already proved to be high level guys was just really exciting.
Yeah, and you mentioned having some FaceTime opportunities with the entire offensive staff, through this transfer recruitment. And you mentioned the tight end room that they have, and there are some guys that are coming up, younger guys,
Yep.
with a lot of promise. Have the coaches talked to you at all about, obviously they want to bring you in to start and to play right away, but also maybe to mentor some of those younger guys as well?
A little bit, not a ton, but we've kind of talked about the guys that are there, and I just want to come in and compete and help K-State as much as I can to win the Big 12 championship. So I am obviously going to do everything I can to be able to compete day one through the end of the season. But really, I just want to help K-State as much as I possibly can, and come into that room. And they already have a guy that has experience, but just be another guy that's older that has experience and help those younger guys in the early stages of their career.
Has Skylar and, Coach Messingham, Coach Kleiman been able to talk to you at all lately, just about maybe the offense moving forward this year? Obviously, they had a number of transfers in the backfield last year that will no longer be there.
Yep.
Wide receiver Dalton Schoen that won't be there. I mean, have they talked at all? They haven't really had a chance to go through spring ball and do a lot of installs yet. But do you think the offense will change? A, with the new faces, but B, a new face like yourself as well?
Yeah, I think, if you just look at the history of their offense, they do such a great job of, their main offense is always going to be their offense. What they like to do is what they do, but they do a great job of, you know, forming the offense to the talent that they have on their team. So I've been able to see what they did at North Dakota State whenever I was playing against them, and never got to beat them. Um, Thought we had them a couple times, but so I got to see what they've done with tight ends there, and what they've done with receivers at elite receivers like Darius Shepard, what they were able to do with him, having over 1,000 yards his senior year. So it
Blue
just really,
Springs guy.
yep, Blue Springs guy. There's definitely a connection there.
Yeah.
I've talked to him over the past week or so. But it really just kind of shows that, they're going to, call the plays and form the offense to their playmakers while still doing what, their identity and their offense is, which is something that I love because, it just, they're winners. They're, quite frankly, their coaching staff is just winners. And seeing what they did at North Dakota State in their time there, and what they did at K-State last year in their first year. Me and Skylar have been in contact just about every day, talking about everything, from the offense to just Manhattan in general to the Big 12 and whatnot. So yeah, they've all been big helps in getting on the phone with me, FaceTime, and on Zoom watching film, of what kind of they see in the offense going into fall camp.
Yeah, funny you mentioned Skyler because I actually had reached out to him and let him know that we'd be doing this Zoom interview, and
Yeah.
I actually wanted to see if he wanted to crash this interview since you crashed his IG live a couple days ago.
Yeah, for
He's
sure.
out doing some stuff with family, but obviously he told me, and as he's told you and everybody else, very, very,
Yep.
very pumped
Yep.
to have you on board. But rounding things out, Briley,
Yep.
what can K-State fans expect from you? I mean, obviously your highlights are all over YouTube and stuff, so they can
Yep.
go and find that kind of thing. But what do you bring to the table? Like, is there a tight end, maybe in college or pro, that you kind of model your game after? Because I think from a K-State perspective, you probably are the most athletic, well-balanced tight end that maybe
Mhm.
K-State has had since Jaron Mastrud,
Yep.
with Josh Freeman kind of back in the mid 2000s. But
Yeah.
anyway, I'll let you go. What's kind of your comparison of yourself, your mold as a tight end?
Yeah. I would say, slightly biasly speaking, being from Kansas City, Travis Kelsey,
Okay.
he's my number one tight end in the NFL without a doubt. So actually last off season, I had the opportunity to break down his entire film from the 2018 season. So I really tried to watch him and just see different things that he does in the route running concept, like his hips and selling defenders and whatnot. So I really try to mold my game after him, while at the same time, um, George Kittle, who played in a somewhat similar offense to the offense that K State runs, a pro style offense that's also going to run the ball heavily. So I'd say kind of a mix between both of them. Love to get out and run routes, catch the ball, but at the same time, just as much as I love to be in line and block power and be a part of the running game. So I would say, from a football perspective, they can expect somebody that's going to come in and compete, and just try to do everything the right way for the greater good of the K-State football program, and seeing K-State excel and continue to take these leaps in the Big 12. As a person, just a little bit about myself, so they can get to know me. Is
Sure.
like I've mentioned earlier, I have a fiance, Caitlin, a son, Malachi. I'm a follower of Christ. I want to do things, the right way, and the way that I've always done things that led me to this situation. Obviously, K-State's 2 hours away from home, so there would be a good home feeling whenever I step onto campus. But yeah, I just want to get in and compete and help the guys on the team and help the coaching staff in whatever way that I can, whether it is being on the field 60 snaps a game or whether it's 20, and just be a leader for younger guys that I can. Obviously, different situation, coming in and only going to be there for 6 to 7 months. But yeah, I just And as much as, I want to get there and play football, I want to get in the community and meet, um, the K-State community, because they have, been in my Twitter comments a ton, and you just see the love, and the tight knit community that K-State has. And it just really shows, looking under my tweets whenever I've tweeted over the past 2 weeks, it's EMA, it's K-State gifs and whatnot. And that excites me because, there's a camaraderie around the entire K-State community. And that's exciting. I'm ready to join the family.
Yeah, and so what is the plan? That'll kind of be my last question, is what is the plan with COVID-19 and everything? Have you talked to the staff about, do they want you to move up there? Are you going to hold off on the move? Where do things kind of stand for you now that you are a Wildcat?
Honestly, I don't think anybody really knows, because this thing is just so crazy. So I'm going to get on campus or in Manhattan as soon as I possibly can. While, there's a possibility that football workouts don't start June 1st, like they're supposed to, and it keeps getting pushed back. Something I'd say is in my favor is, if I am in Kansas City, I live 20 minutes from Skyler. So I'm able to get with him and work out and get in the playbook. So yeah, kind of just, go with the flow type situation with that whole deal. It's interesting how to think the possibilities of how it would play out, but I really, really don't know for sure.
Definitely. Well, Riley, appreciate you so much. Thank you for
Yep.
doing this interesting interview.
For sure.
Forced me to shave the mustache, which is good. I had a mustache going, but
Yeah.
I don't want to try and show Courtney Messingham up, because he is, to be honest, that's a mustache that we can't compete with. So
Yeah, without a doubt.
You'll get to see that mustache quite a bit here
For
very
sure.
soon. But
For sure.
thanks for doing this. And again, Kansas State fans are very excited. Briley Moore ready to pound the stone in 2020.
Yes, sir. I thank you. Thank you for your time and giving me this opportunity to kind of let the K-State community know who I am.
Thanks, Briley.
Yep. Thank you.